go. We're good. Darn it.
Sarsaparilla.
Sarsaparilla, or as I say in school, sugar
What's,
plum fairies.
Okay.
Okay, I
What's
gotta
that
rearrange.
rookie of the year? Funky butt lovin'.
What?
That's from a kids movie. It's okay
Oh,
to
yeah.
say.
If it's from a
You can
kids
reference.
movie.
You can reference.
Rookie of the year.
Is that rookie of the year? A little
Or,
bit.
no,
No, it is
I
rookie
can't
of the
it's,
see
year.
it's the one where he breaks his arm and.
That's rookie of the year.
Yeah.
If I may quote Sam Jackson, I am tired of these snakes on this Monday to Friday plane.
Oh, that is awesome. I realized I cannot see them, and I have a feeling eye contact may be important. I could be wrong. Are we a go? I think Elaine told me we're a go. We're gonna pretend we're a go. Hi, I'm Tara Burton. How are you doing this morning?
Yeah.
Does anybody know what day it is? Saturday. I feel
It's
like
Dragon
it's
Con.
next Friday already, and I need a nap. So I'm Tara Burton. You've come to learn, I hope, more about live streaming and how to get comfortable on camera. Lights, camera, smile. It is from a Taylor Swift song because I like to poke the track director with Taylor Swift references. It's why I live. But anyway, I have guests that are not Taylor Swift, but I love them just as much. And what I love to do is I'm going to start with, wait a minute, I don't want to get the brothers wrong because I'm horrible. Justin, hi at the end.
It's
I have a
me.
feel-
Hi, I'm the problem. It's me.
I knew that.
I'm
I
Justin
read what's on the
McElroy.
back
Hello.
of your sign. I
Yeah.
knew you were the problem. So we're
Uh,
going to let you guys introduce yourselves and tell when you first started live streaming.
Oh gosh. My name is Justin McElroy. Hello. I guess the first time I started live streaming was in 1999 at the radio station. Yeah, we called it radio back then, Griffin. But yeah, we probably started doing live a lot of live streaming in about 2020. You know.
I'm Griffin McElroy. I do a lot of work with Justin.
My assistant Griffin.
And yeah, I've sort of dabbled in live streaming. We did it a bit for like convention coverage when I was at Joystick and Polygon doing like games coverage stuff. But we just sort of launched our own. Thanks. Yeah. Our own streaming show called the McElroy Family Clubhouse last year. And since then, it's a year and a half ago. Since then, weekly streaming, the most routine we've been.
Hi everyone, I'm Channing McElroy. I'm the long lost brother. I wanted to meet you for years. Yeah, it's gonna get weird. I'm Channing Sherman. I'm a co-host on the Dragon Con Report podcast and stream. I also do the currently on hiatus Smarty Art Brother podcast, which will come back one day when life decides to stop lifing. And Digital Media Track has roped me in for several of their panels because I've tricked them into thinking that I'm an expert. So we're gonna keep up the act.
My name is Joseph Ard. I do a podcast called Wise and Nerdy, where fatherhood meets fandom, and I have been streaming for nearly a decade. Yeah.
I know.
It's their timing is impeccable.
Yeah,
I
it's
know,
really
I
nice.
heard them.
No, because I didn't get one. So
Yeah, that's
Oh.
true.
But they were just sad about your long lost brother stick.
That would
Yeah, that's
what
what it
it was. Yes.
It is the have a happier non-anxiety con over there. They're like at it times. So anyway, I'm Tara Burton. I'm a professor of marketing at Kennesaw State University. That's my day job. And they are actually the first people that put me on camera, but not live stream. Heavens, thank God. But the Digital Media Track did. And so that's how I got started live streaming about 2 or 3 years ago. And I never wanted to be in front of a camera. So my next question for you guys, and by the way, get ready because we're going to go to Q&A pretty quickly here. So be thinking of your questions. Are you comfortable on camera? And if so, what is your secret? Because I need it. So do you want to start, Joe? And we'll go that way because I have a feeling down there it's going to be, it's going to get funner.
So I started off being a complete nervous wreck, but then when I stopped caring about other people's opinions, I got a lot more comfortable. Because I'm always going to be my own worst critic, and so I'm like, everyone else, they're not as bad as I am. It's all right.
They're not as bad as I am.
Well, when it comes to being my own critic, yeah.
Okay, but I think you might need to visit next door too. Channing, lost brother of the McElroys.
Yes. So there are two answers to this. The first answer is that one day I woke up, I was hit on the head, and I said, you know what? I'm a sexy mofo. I should be on camera. and I should share all of this with the world. Thank you. Somebody jump in on the bit. I appreciate it. But no, the true answer is yes. I've had, believe it or not, some confidence issues in the past. Dragon Con Channing and regular Channing are two entirely different people. You have to get to a point of it not caring so much about what other people think, but also care more about your message. If people care about your message, they don't care how you look, or more importantly, they don't care how you think you look. And that really helped me personally get over the hump. And of course, being sexy.
Uh, I'm very scared, sort of by
Right now?
nature. For most live performing things, we do a lot of live shows, and I always get very afraid before going on stage for one of those. And that is still true to a certain extent with live streaming. It's something I've become a little bit more comfortable with, but it is still very. I get my Apple Watch will serve up high heart rate warnings for me, and it happens on streams more often than not. So, the physiology kind of speaks for itself.
Yeah, I'm pretty comfortable on camera. I don't really get nervous before shows so I'm not making that up.
No,
I
yeah,
just, it doesn't really stress me out. I'm scared of lots of stuff like rats and death, but like cameras don't really stress me out that much. But I do want to say Channing said the word persona, mentioned specifically persona, and I really want to touch on that because I think it's so important. I think a lot of, if I had to be Justin McElroy, the dad on up here, that would be pretty uncomfortable for me because that's not sort of like a role I can kind of step into and have these kinds of conversations and stuff. But like finding that persona and getting comfortable, kind of putting it on a little bit, even if that feels a little itchy or awkward at first, I think that's a really important first step, is making that jump into a different sort of personality and finding how to get comfortable doing that.
Well, and that was actually where I was going next. So thank you. You have tossed it right back to your brother. Do you have an on-camera persona?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we've been doing it for so long, and so we were doing the podcast. We started doing it in 2010, and so this idea of having like this heightened version of yourself that you sort of step into whenever you're doing the show. I mean, it is very much the same principle for a live kind of performance. I edited our shows for a really long time now. We work with an amazing editor, Rachel, who's doing a few panels here, from what I understand, that you all should go to.
She knows more than us.
Way more. And so I had this sort of like perfectionist kind of tendency that is still definitely there, and making something live was very intimidating. But I do agree with Justin that being able to step into that role, that heightened version of yourself, does make it feel a lot more comfortable, because now it's not you messing up, it's TV Griffin, if you will.
Taylor's version.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Taylor's.
right.
Channing, how do you get into Channing Sherman, sexy and
I come to Dragon Con. Number one, this is very much my happy place. Honestly, I joke about it, but the digital media track did really help me find my voice. It's a running joke. I came here for years, always talking about, oh yeah, I'm gonna start a podcast. Oh yeah, I'm gonna start a podcast. Oh yeah, I'm gonna start. And I think finally it was probably the track director who said, hey, when in the holy heck are you gonna start this podcast so you can stop coming here talking about it? So yeah, they really helped pull me out of my shell. So community is important, a good supportive community. And yeah, just to echo, like I said, there are kind of two different Channings, and I try to go to Dragon Con Channing as much as I can whenever I have to stream, which is easy because one of the podcasts I stream is called the Dragon Con Report. So that makes it a whole
Nice
lot
reminder right there on the title.
Really kicks it in. But then I carry that over into other things, like when I have to do guest appearances on other people's podcasts. You always bring that over. But a supportive community is really what helps. Not the type to just say, "Oh, you look good, don't be silly," but the type who can actually kind of be there to guide you, to not just deflect your feelings, but to actually be a sounding board for you and kind of help validate you a little bit.
Father Joe?
Yeah. So for me, I think one of the most important things that I consider while streaming is to be authentic. But that doesn't mean I like was it, you said but not just persona, but exaggerated.
Yeah.
So authentically exaggerated. So it may not be how you are day to day, but it's still a facet of yourself. And so don't worry about being exaggerated. There's plenty of times where I've said things on air that I would not say in day to day. There's a lot less of a filter on air for me, which isn't always the best, but it works for me.
I was a little shocked, Joe. I'm just gonna say. So I teach for a living, and if no teacher has ever told you, we are improvisationists because that's what we do, right? Because you're looking at a bunch of sleeping people and you have to wake them up. So that's what I tried to do on camera. But the first time I was on camera, they did not tell me there would be one. So I just pretended there was a classroom of sleeping freshmen and went on with my life. But I agree. I think we do amplify ourselves in some ways. So like Tyra's energy right now is like off the charts. I'm an introvert that would rather be underneath that desk in the back. This is a lie, but I keep going with it because
Well, you know, it's funny that you say it's a lie, and I do want to touch on that because I think a lot of people think when they think that other persona, they think host or slick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that is where a lot of people get tripped up because my like persona or heightened persona is not more slick than I am. You know what I mean? Like I don't pretend to have it more together or more figured out.
It's
than
fun to
I
think
know.
that that's a switch we can turn
Yeah.
on, and
yeah, I just got
like we can
exactly.
step into the Stefan Urkel machine and be transformed.
Tyra is more funny here.
Yeah,
in real
sure.
life, I'm not funny.
I
I
get
may not
real.
be funny here.
I'm curious if this is the same for y'all. After our weekly stream, I feel so tired. I feel genuinely wiped out, and that is embarrassing to admit because I'm not doing anything particularly physically exhausting. But it's stressful being on the hook for an hour and knowing that it's live and that there is no safety net or margin of error. But also just kind of like presenting this heightened version of myself. I feel like I need a nap after I do it for an extended period of time. And I don't know if that's a common thing or if I have mono or something.
You are at
I'm
Dragon Con, so
You never know.
Yeah, wash your hands, everybody. I get hyped for like an hour afterwards, and then I'm like, give me a nap,
Yeah.
like right now, because I think
Coming down off that high.
Yeah. Well, and I think you just talked about it. You're trying to do everything right when you're live streaming, right? And that brings up this idea of perfectionism. So I actually had your dad on my perfection.
Oh yeah,
panel.
he has that. What an
The
inspiration! He has-
funniest possible choice.
Yeah, he has beat perfectionism so thoroughly. He is an inspiration to me every day in his battle against perfectionism. He's so thoroughly gotten his perfectionism under control.
He was
Sometimes I forget he is a perfectionist, you know, because he's so
because he messes up so much.
relaxed about it.
he was perfect though, because the rest of us were like, please teach us your ways. So we know you don't live with a perfectionist, but all of us, if we could talk about how do you drop the professionalism? Not we want to be professional, but perfectionist when you're on camera because you can't be perfect and it will drive you crazy.
Speak for yourself.
I mean, I think I focus mostly on the stuff that you can not get anywhere else that you get in a streaming format. Like, I don't know, our audience is really amazing and really patient with us, sort of generally speaking. And you know, one of the things I was worried about is streaming is doing a weekly streaming show is we are so late to the party, right? Like we Travis does some Twitch streams, so he's been doing that for a while, so he had some experience, but. For Justin and I, like, I don't know, I felt nervous that there were all of these things that were best practices that everyone had known for a decade that we did not know. But our audience, I feel like, has really enjoyed watching us kind of like build the plane underneath us as we fly it. And there is an element of participation that is involved in that is very cool from our side, and I think very cool from the viewer's side as well. And so, like, in exchange for, I'm going to take this, podcast or this video or this idea, and I'm going to put countless hours of my life into it until I feel comfortable letting other people see it. I don't know, doing that work in front of other people can also be like a fun way to do it. But scary, but, very rewarding.
Yeah, for me, I I took it as an excuse to get better, because when you stop improving, you're gonna ruin your quality entirely. And so when I first started out, my thought process was make it good enough that it's not annoying. Like if something's annoyingly bad, then you need to fix it, obviously. But then look for ways that you can continuously improve and make it better. And especially if you're making just minute minute changes along the way, your audience isn't going to notice those improvements drastically until they go back and they listen to some of your early stuff, and then they listen to some new stuff. They're like, oh, you've polished this a lot. And so yeah, but starting off, just make sure it's not annoyingly bad. I've listened to some like I've listened to stuff that I'm like, I get 5 minutes, 10 minutes in, I'm like, your audio is so horrendous, it hurts my ears to listen to. And if you're having something like that, you need to step back and teach yourself. There's plenty of tutorials out there. YouTube is a wonderful resource for learning, and just make it so it's not annoyingly bad, and then keep improving.
I'm gonna have that be my new catchphrase.
That's going on my dating profile. I'm not annoyingly bad.
Channing,
Um,
you got married.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, my wife is watching. Yes, I am. As far as the perfection thing goes, part of my answer was already stolen. Sorry, but I think a few little imperfection, it humanizes you on your stream. Most humans know that none of us are perfect, and also I think they kind of like seeing that growth. I mentioned on the perfection panel, maybe when they see me streaming, I'm using a cheap little Blue Yeti mic. I stream for a while, I get better. Maybe I save up my money. Like, oh, Channing's got a Shure nuclear powered laser mic now. They see my growth, and I think that they appreciate that. And the other thing about imperfections is this: this is the 50th anniversary of one of my favorite movies, Jaws. Some of you all may know this story. Jaws, the shark was meant to be seen in the opening scene, but when they built and tested the shark in fresh water, when they took it into the salt water, the shark just basically said, "No, I'm not going to work." So they had to shoot that and just kind of improvise. But that made that scene being so much better. This woman being attacked by this unseen force, and so that imperfection, that mistake, helped make it one of the, in my mind, one of the greatest movies of all time. I will fight you.
After the panel.
Yes,
If
absolutely.
every pork chop was perfect, we wouldn't have hot dogs.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
And oftentimes improvisation leads to some of the best innovation.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm just getting tidbits all over the place.
Yeah.
Justin, how do you leave your perfection at the door?
Uh,
Or do you?
That's hard because I mean, I got the old internal critic who's going 24/7, keeping me, ahead of things pretty good. I think that the biggest thing that I did was stop apologizing while I was like live, and I still see people do this sometimes, apologizing for the things that aren't working, or apologizing for not being more comfortable, or explaining why you are not more comfortable than you are. It's really if you're watching that as an audience member, and the person telling you what you're watching isn't very good, there is like the only reaction you can have is like, well, why am I watching it? It feels like a judgment on you, right? I don't think you should be the one criticizing yourself. You could take that criticism from other people and internalize it, but I think that you doing the stream that you want to do, and as the person that you are, is perfect, because there's a huge range of people. Some people sit in silence and play games, and people just like to watch them do it. So like whatever you're doing is perfect because it's you doing it. Just don't apologize for yourself. Figure yourself out, but you don't have to start apologizing from the beginning,
I love that.
because everybody knows you're a beginner, right? Because it says 001 at the beginning. So whatever.
It's a good place to start. So I think part of my perfectionism is also because I'm not traditionally body shaped. I'm a big girl, and I'm an older streamer myself. And so what really held me back for as a long time was trolls and
Mm.
that fear of what people were going to say in the chat. And finally, I started doing it for digital media. And since I was doing it for somebody else, it was okay. But that is still something that I worry about now that I'm putting out more short form videos that are mine,
Mm.
that I'm going to have trolls, and how do I deal with that? So I'm interested to hear how you deal with trolls both on your live stream and on other content that you produce. And Justin, let's just toss it right back down to you guys and come this way.
We're gonna have the same answer. So
Yes.
Oh, great. Well, talk amongst each
We
other.
are okay. The true answer is that we now are able to hire a social media manager named Sarah, who's she protects us from all those people. She
Yay,
kicks them
Sarah.
right off. Thanks, Sarah. Thanks for looking out for us and making it a fun space. So that is that is very helpful. I'll tell you what was the biggest lesson that I learned early on and has served me really well is if you do not give those people headspace and oxygen, eventually it will go away. Now I'm coming from a very privileged position as a cis white man, so obviously my struggles are going to be different from a lot of folks in this room. But for me, when I would let them like live in my head and obsess about it, that's when I would get thrown. And that's when I would start hearing their voice in the live stream, and they wouldn't even have to keep talking because I would just pick up the ball and run with it, you know? So I think trying to focus on the positivity and not give like brain oxygen or especially like on air attention to that kind of thing, I think is the most valuable approach that I've found.
Yeah, and I would add again, like I am hardly at all plugged into social media or really anything these days, and we're very lucky that we have been able to hire somebody who can sort of handle that for us. But when I do sort of see that stuff, I find it effective to dissociate from it a little bit, not like from myself, but looking at it like words on a screen, like zeros and ones that have been transmitted and are now appearing on your screen, and not some, I don't know, person standing in the corner with their arms crossed, like "we hate you." Because I don't know, there's just that you will get a lot of feedback on the stuff that you do, and some of it's going to make you feel really good, and some of it's going to be really helpful, and it's going to change your content and change you as a person. And then there's a category of stuff that is just there to harm you. And that stuff, I feel like if you just treat it like I don't know, like little pixels on a screen, and that's all that it is, it helps a little bit. So that's my secret.
Yeah. So for me, it's a little bit different. I've been open about some mental health issues that I continue to struggle with, and so honestly, I am so hard on myself sometimes. There is no insult a troll can say about me that I probably have not said it myself at some point during my years of trying to get better. From a more practical sense, if you can't afford a social media manager or something like that, automated moderation tools, they're not perfect, but they can take a big weight off your shoulders. Go to Urban Dictionary, find every version of every new slur that they're coming out with, copy paste, drop it in, maybe once every 3 months, check it out, see if you can add something new to the list. Trolls, they feed off attention. They may come in hot and heavy, but once they see they're not getting the reaction out of you that they want, they're going to move on to somebody that they will. So don't even say, "Oh, you know what? I don't like you. You're banned," or "We're banning that guy." Don't even say that. Just ban them. Just kick them out. Growing up, I never liked the just ignore the problem and it'll go away approach, but it kind of works with the troll, because if they're not seeing that they can jump on your stream and get some of your clout, they're just going to move on to somebody else's.
My favorite moderation tool, and I forget where it was, I feel like it was like old Twitter, was the mute function where they wouldn't know you couldn't see them anymore.
We could do that on
Oh, yeah, you
Polygon
used
for a
to
while.
do
Yeah, and we could do that on with the back end on Polygon. And so sometimes when someone would come and just take a dump on whatever it was we were doing, I'd be like, "That's interesting. Tell me more about that." And then I would mute them, knowing their life minutes they are about to pour into a toilet. And it genuinely, I get most upset about people who routinely come to troll the stuff that we make, not from a like, "Oh no, you hurt my feelings, you said something bad," but just the thought of someone spending their time
So sad.
that way bums me out on such a huge fundamental level. But you can weaponize that against them
Which is awesome, I must say.
yeah, sure,
yes.
but
Use your power for good.
yeah,
You troll the troll.
yeah, sure.
I mean, that's what stand-up comedians do all the time with hecklers.
Right.
They troll them right back. But yeah, just not giving them space in your mind is a wonderful way to address it. A lot of times, in my mind, whether or not it's true, I just associate that they're bots. Like, they're
That's
bots.
good.
Ah,
I like that.
I
Um,
like that.
but even when
Can't prove that they're not.
yeah,
That's
right.
That's the same thing I do. Yeah, I love it.
But even at the same time, even if you assume that they are real, more often than not, their comments speak more about who they are as a person rather than who you are as a person.
So important to remember. So I'm unfortunately Sarah for the track, which thankfully all of you are very kind, and I don't have trolls on the track, but we get trolls on Twitch. So the one piece of advice I'm going to give is know how to ban before you start the show, because trying to figure that out while you're doing the show is no fun. Not that we ever had to do that. Cough, cough. Yes, we did. Because I was not prepared. I'm going to use a Taylor Swift line right now. And she said, you should think of your energy as it's expensive, as if it's a luxury item and not everybody can afford it. And to try not to give the energy to people who are not worth it. And I think trolls are not worth it in general.
I'd like to quote another Taylor Swift song that was genuinely transformative for me. I'm not like a big Swiftie or anything, but a classic line that I lean back on a lot in my hard times dealing with trolls is, "One day I'll be living in a big old city, and all you're ever gonna be is mean."
It's true.
Love it.
So true.
And if
So-
I may quote Tupac,
Yes. Bring it on.
it is tempting, but it's not 10 o'clock yet.
Okay.
Yes, yes, yes.
Well, good point.
Yes,
So
yes,
the
yes.
Tupac quote will be later. We're sorry. So we're going to get ready for questions. So if you have them, you can start lining up at the microphone. My last question, well, not my last, just in case you people don't help me out here, is do you have a ritual to get ready? Do you have something that helps you pump yourself up and get into the let's go on air, let's do this? So Joe, do you have a ritual or something you do?
Yeah, it's called Find Bad Dad Jokes to troll my co-host. Because if I'm his biggest troll, he doesn't have to worry about others.
Aww.
I spend time with my dog. One, because I'm a dog guy and I like him. Two, because if I spend some time with him before the stream, he will leave me alone during the stream. Because every now and then on the Dragon Con report, if you listen closely when I'm talking, you'll hear in the background. That's because someone felt like he didn't get enough pets earlier. So,
Yeah.
and it is actually kind of calming too. So it gets me ready.
I just make sure that I've eaten something. I'm not going into the stream hungry. I usually try to shower before the stream. And I have a foam roller in my office, and I'll give myself a good stretch out right before stream.
That
Yeah.
is actually a really good. If you can avoid sitting until you need to actually start doing it to give yourself a little bit of a mental split between like that going on or whatever.
We
it
do that
is.
before our live shows. A thing called with that we learned from Hodgman, I think, called
Yeah.
power pose.
Y'all know how to
Yes.
power pose.
It's just that you do that right before you go on stage.
Like, before you go on, just give yourself one like a big, like a wide stance.
You
arms
stretch it out.
up, You feel
It feels
excellent.
it feels phenomenal.
It feels really good.
Is
And then we
this
have a-
also why you shower before you.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly right.
And we have our little chant and our little ritual that we do before we go out. That's more for like our live
Yeah,
shows
sure.
and stuff like that. For before I stream, it's more like, do I have all the tabs open that I'm like,
Oh
Yeah,
my
sure.
gosh, yes.
tab management is that's the track that we need on digital media. There's a managing your tabs on the fly. I sometimes have 30, 40 tabs open at once.
When your co-host can't find the right thing to link and you're like, darn it. Hi. I'll have that for you in a moment. So we play music. We have an opening theme song, and I drive Charles nuts because I will talk during it. I don't care. But that's how I always have gotten up with music. And then I agree. I think stretching and taking care of the pets.
Yeah.
Because my dog will decide he needs to go out in the middle of the live stream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So know where that hit the camera and button is off. Oh my, we have a line. I love all of you. So step on up. You're first on The Price is Right.
No.
There is a power button.
But we can hear you perfectly.
Hello.
Ooh,
There you
Whoa.
go.
Oh, it's on.
nice.
That's you, God.
it was
So-
off, but now it's on.
With podcasts and books and movies, you have like plotting and arcs you can do, but with a live stream, how do you think about timing and pacing and fitting everything in an hour, if that's what your thing is, or how to create those energy peaks and come back off of that?
I mean, for our show for Clubhouse, it is pretty regimented at this point. Sarah also is a producer on Clubhouse and will draw up like a run of show beforehand. It's always an hour, almost always 2 segments that we know pretty much how long they are going to run. Super helpful thing is we have backup bits sort of that we can drop in. One is called Energy Dragon, and it's just our dad dressed up like a wizard who appears and said the energy's dragon, and we play it anytime the energy starts dragon. And then we have a list in a Google Doc of dragons that we're ranking based on which is the best dragon. So like
It's
if
a complete momentum shift, head shift. Like the other one we do sometimes is called Knife of the Week. And we can just cut to Knife of the Week, and it's a picture of someone's knife that they sent in, like that they love,
it's just
and
a cool
and
knife.
just a cool knife they have, and then we can come back to it. So having those, we talk about when we do the podcast. I think of them as vines,
Yeah.
where it's like you're swinging on this bit, right? As while you're swinging on this, you need to know what the next vine is, and if that's your like rundown that you wrote beforehand or whatever. But like it is really hard to pace if you don't know what that next thing is. So like having something like that and having something you can like ditch to if the steam just runs out, like that is really, really helpful.
Yeah.
Shannon, do you guys do show notes?
Yes, we do show notes beforehand, and we have segments too that we drop in. And when I'm doing my personal podcast where I'm just interviewing people, I know my cadence, so I can kind of figure, okay, how long is it going to take me to ask so many questions. And if I know the guest, I kind of know theirs, so I can that helps me time it out. But just kind of listening to them as we're going, I can kind of figure out, okay, this person's a little mouthy, so maybe I need to dial back the number of questions, or vice versa. This person's giving me really short answers. Let me try something else. But I do agree with you on the segments part, because
Yeah.
that saves me a lot of time and trouble too.
Yeah, for us, one of the things that we look at is where do we have flexibility and where is it rigid. And so, like for instance, we've done our show live at various cons, and you are very much stuck to that hour or 45 minutes, whatever they give you, versus our own live show where we've got a little bit of a buffer, give or take 15 minutes. And so, find out where that flexibility is, find out where that rigidity is. And a lot of it, the pacing comes with experience. That as you get along, as you continue and get that experience, you'll be like, okay, you get an intuitive feel. If you like, we have our show notes, which we use as an outline. You get an intuitive feel. Okay, this discussion is probably going to take about 15, 20 minutes gut feel. But then having extra if you are running short, or knowing where you can trim some things if it starts to a certain section starts to run long. So identifying where that rigidity is and where that flexibility is, and having a rough outline makes a huge difference on maintaining your time.
Be awesome together when we moved to having an outline and having show notes, and then we started having a weekly Tuesday meeting, like even if it was just 5 minutes between Charles and I, drastically changed how better the show went.
Yep.
So have that. Also, ours is, you have a Sarah, we have a Kaz, who's one of our volunteers here, and Kaz helps produce our show. And the best thing she does is 5 minutes, you're over. She's awesome. Have somebody that will let you know when you're going long, because Charles and I like to chat. So next up.
I am much shorter than the other person. Hi.
Hi.
So, all of you have done content for a long period of time and have talked about the importance of creating a persona that's almost like a heightened version of yourself. But we all change as people. How do you adapt your persona, your heightened persona, to the changes going on in your life? That because you're not the same person that you were 6 months ago, a year ago, 10 years ago.
That's really interesting. That's really interesting. I will say this. I think that it comes organically at this point, and I think that the persona sort of has evolved on its own. There are times when and I know how artificial this sounds to be talking about. It feels awkward to talk about. It feels artificial to like speak with you, but I feel like we're all kind of in the same boat if we're all digital, like creating media. So you get what I'm saying. But like, I find the split between the two is harder to manage sometimes, but I recognize when the parts of the persona start to chafe a little bit, and it's like, that's not really who I am anymore. Like, that's like, well, there'll be a joke or a bit or just something in the show or something where it just feels inauthentic to me. You know, I've been doing this for like 14 years. So like, I'm not the same cat I was when we started doing this. Like, so I think recognizing that and just sort of listening to yourself when that happens, you know, and remembering that you, at the end of the day, even though that is a persona that was created for your audience and in conjunction with your audience, you are still the arbiter of it,
Right.
you know, and you have to be the one whose judgment is 100% final when it comes to that.
It's kind of a double-edged sword because the idea with the persona is having this like version of yourself that you feel more comfortable entertaining people with, and so it is meant to make your life easier, but at the same time you have to be so careful with how you kind of curate it, because people really attach to the version of yourself that you present, because like human beings like to file stuff away in their minds. And so part of the idea with this like version of yourself that you do whenever you are presenting, they lock onto it because that's how their brain works, and it is so hard to change it. It's very, 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 very hard to change it. And I don't know. This question, it hits home for me because I feel like it is something that I've never been particularly great at. Because when we started doing My Brother and Me, I was in my early 20s, and that was 15 years ago now, and I got married and I have kids, and I'm tired all the time. But there's still people who think of me as like, you know, this little scamp who doesn't take great care of himself and is just I don't know, a child himself.
That
And
was definitely a big one when we had kids. I think that we had to shift somewhat because it's like, it's embarrassing. Like, you know, you have to at least be, even your persona, even if your persona doesn't have kids, your persona has to at least take care of themselves well enough that CPS isn't going to get called.
yeah, that's a good point. So it is a thing you have to be careful with and very thoughtful about, because it is hard to change that persona. We keep saying that word so much that
No,
but you know, it's a shorthand for a sort of complex thing.
and we can build on each other's at this point. We keep trying to stick stuff to Griffin's, even though he doesn't want us to. Like the Vor thing never really caught on, but like we or the banana stuff, even when Griffin doesn't really want that.
The Vor thing is a good example, because that was a thing that I thought was a funny idea to have be like a thing that I in the background just kind of like goofed on until people started to take it extremely seriously, and then it was Griffin is trying to sneak this actual thing he's into, and it stopped being fun frickin' immediately.
Yeah, right.
But it's really, 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 really hard to say like, okay, that's done now.
Yeah, that
that's
part.
not
Just
part of
kidding.
it.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Things morph. I mean, we have Shelf Watch, which has been my shelf that's not done
Yeah.
in our live stream. It's going to be there forever, and it's just going to go on.
So
We had somebody offer to come at DragonCon to fix my shelf.
Well,
Yeah.
just real quick, I wanted to say, how big of a change are you looking at? And that's something to consider. So naturally, people make small changes. But if you're going to make a drastic change, like my son, for instance, he goes from being 100% about Pokemon to 100% about Beyblade. So if you're making a huge change, you need to recognize, is it more important to be authentic to yourself or to maintain your audience? And if you want to maintain your audience, you can try to make that change more subtle over time. But if you're worried about being more authentic to yourself, then you can do it all at once.
Joe,
And so it's pros and cons.
Just to build on that too, you should allow yourself room as a creator that you may want to go back to the other thing in like a month or two, where like, oh, actually I'm interested in that again. You know, not leaving the space for yourself too. We're like, you know what? I'm gonna leave that door open because I may be deeply into Beyblade again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So my question is about how, like, as a content creator in general, would it be wiser to stream like on a consistent schedule and get more viewers, or would it be wiser to get more people who follow your non-streaming content and then start streaming so you have people who actually follow that?
So what
Good
do you
question.
like to do? Do you like to stream or do you like to create? What's your favorite thing? Is it to stream or is it to create content that they're going to have at all their times?
I like all of it. I like streaming. I like creating normal content. I like yeah. that's-
Okay, so you don't have a preference.
Yeah, I don't have a preference. I like it.
Okay, so I'm
Cool.
tossing Channing. I'm tossing it to you because you didn't talk last time. You have to talk. It's a requirement. I'm sorry.
Well, first of all, how do you do, fellow teen? Whichever one you choose, you did say one word there. That consistency is key. That's what fans like. It gives them a sense of normalcy. It's like, oh, I know, once every 2 weeks, I'm gonna get to hear Channing's amazingly sexy voice, or whatever. So you definitely want to be consistent. And I think it's just whatever at your age, what your time and activities allow you to do. Personally, it seems more like you be better off on the streaming side, but it's just which one do you have the time for in your current life to do consistently is the one I would advise picking.
I would just also encourage y'all like, I think streaming is really, really great, and I love performing like that. I love making streaming content. I would also remind you that, like, it is perfectly valid to just make stuff for yourself for the joy of making stuff for yourself. I think a lot of people, because streaming is so like public facing, I think a lot of people see that as like the first thing that they want to do. But like, there's a lot of your own craft that you can like work on and hone and practice and like figure out on your own that you don't have to do in like the public eye. Figuring out like who you are, what you want to make, and just experiencing the joy of making that. Like, getting comfortable doing that on your own. Like, I'm very fortunate that we had many years recording the show, figuring out our rhythms, figuring out what it is we do, getting really comfortable doing it, and then doing it in front of people. And that so I don't know if you can make those two work in that order. I think it's really helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hello.
I'll give Travis a wedgie after.
I know. I feel like that's the comedy room, and this feels like the existential.
You all are gonna learn something though. They're gonna be like, you're gonna grow.
And I feel like we like flipped because they were like just supposed to be very serious over there, but
We
It's the
changed
folks
our
in the room, I
personas.
guess.
we changed
Right,
our
that's right.
personas. That's it.
Adjust it to the room.
Well, to keep it existential, I guess. I'm curious how I feel like compared to other media like acting or things like that, you're really putting yourself out there permanently forever. And I'm curious what that feels like knowing that your kids or friends, people will be able to look back at 23-year-old you forever, or what you've put out at a given moment and how you kind of move through that.
There's a beauty to that because
Yeah.
we had somebody on our track that passed away this year, Kurt. And Kurt had recorded every day. He was fit guy, whatever the day was. And I think now, because he died fairly early in his life, what his grandkids now have to be able to look at. So I think that what you're asking is just so, it can really be beautiful. But there's also this moment of, did they really need to know I thought that? I think that all the time. I'm like, oh, God forbid my students find my streams. But I'm like, okay, I'm still Tyra.
See, but I actually like the fact that my kids can see my imperfections, because I worry about my own inclinations of being a perfectionist. At least I used to have those, and especially as a teenager. I think showing my kids those imperfections and even allowing that to be out there permanently, it doesn't scare me, because I don't want them to have unrealistic expectations for themselves.
I'd be fine with them seeing it because, again, it goes back to the imperfections, and then maybe they'd be like, "Oh, this is what Dad did or Uncle Channing did. Let me try and go a little different direction." made a few interesting choices in my 20s.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really proud of the work that we do and how long we have been able to do it and the stuff that we have made. I don't think that there's anything I'm particularly, even the stuff that would reflect poorly on me as a younger person. It was part of the show, right? This goes back to the persona thing too, is you can distance it a little bit and say like, well, but clearly I'm not actually like that. I don't curse in front of my kids because I don't want them to do it in front of like a teacher or something and have it come back to me. Genuinely, that's it. And so like if you listen to the work that we do, like you that's a different mode, right? That's like a different version. And so I genuinely I'm not concerned about that. It's kind of fun when a friend who doesn't listen to our shows, like we do a live show in their town and they come to it and they get to see what we do. Like it's fun to kind of surprise people like that. And so yeah, it's not something I am super concerned about because I genuinely am proud of the stuff that we've done and everything that kind of got us to get there.
Well, and just a slight aside, as long as you're being your authentic self, it's who you are, and don't apologize for who you are.
Yeah, we talk about some really adult content though on our show, and a lot of that's on YouTube, and a lot of people have animated it, honestly. So your kids think they're watching a dang cartoon, and Daddy says some objectionable things, but they're used to it at this point. So I don't know.
The really, really, really gnarly stuff, they wouldn't even understand.
They don't even
like,
get it because it's so far out there. It's
Yeah.
like their brains couldn't even comprehend how raunchy it is. That's how.
Yeah, it's when their teacher looks at you like,
Yeah, right. That's what I'm trying to avoid. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, I'm also a teacher like you, Tyra, and you were correct. It is kind of like you're workshopping like a tight 90 every single day, multiple times a day, and that's kind of hard sometimes. But I was just wondering about, do you feel like the sort of requirements for your mise en place or like what you require to feel ready and comfortable to start streaming or just start performing, has it become more or less rigid as you go on? Because when I was in grad school, I could just pop in last minute before class, turn on the PowerPoint, and I was good. And now I feel like I have to have everything I could possibly ever need placed and then like compose myself. And that's been 8 years. So what kind of progression do you see in yourself there?
When we started working on the graphic novels, I was experiencing quite a bit of imposter syndrome. Justin gave me a book called Several Short Sentences About Writing by an author named Verlin Klinkenborg, which is a really good name. And there's a line in that book that I won't be able to remember verbatim, but was pretty mind-blowing for me, which is he encourages you to avoid having ritual based around the creative work that you do, because all of a sudden that cup of coffee or that special pen or whatever one day will become an excuse not to do the thing because it is absent. And so I do not subscribe to a lot of that. Just genuinely making sure my body is fed and stretched out, and genuinely that is about as like much as I prioritize. Other than that, when I was running my own streams, I used to do a little bit of that for Polygon and some of our like earlier stuff. Just like having a kill switch, having a technical difficulty screen. I have the Stream Deck that I know just boop, I can push that button and I can pause everything whenever I need to. That's pretty important too. But yeah, other than that, I don't have a ton.
yeah, I would say as a teacher too, that we're teaching a group of people nowadays that have more anxiety. And I think we feed off of that. It's just like when you live stream, you're feeding off the energy in the chat. So I'm like always encouraging people to talk to us in there because it helps feed it. But when you're in front of a classroom or a live audience, you're also getting that back. And the thing that I have found that helps me is to just be authentic and tell them I am also freaking out and it will be okay. But yeah, I still walk in. I actually am more improv now than when I started. I did the flip of you just because I got more comfortable in my own skin. And I'll tell you if I'm having an anxiety attack in front of a group of seniors and they're like, oh, it's okay, let's do this. And that works for me at least.
Thank you.
Okay, just waiting to see. I always pause and make sure.
Hi, everyone. Hope you're having a good weekend. I'm also a professor, and yay. You know, I have basically an audience of students 100 or so that changes semester to semester because of different classes. So they don't get to really know me or what my intentions are, what my personality is like. So I wanted to know how you would deal with maybe I'm going to say stepping in it, so to speak. So you say something, you misspeak, maybe it upsets some people, maybe it wasn't anything even too bad, even if it's just saying I'm not a Swiftie and then half your class is upset at you. But just how do you deal with like stepping in it, saying something that later on you're like, oof, my audience didn't take that too well, even if it's not,
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything like, it doesn't have to be a big issue. Yeah.
I know I can't wait because I need to know this.
Yeah.
I mean, in our experience, we have stepped in it a lot, right? Back in 2010 when we started doing the podcast, we were absolute doofuses, and we credit our audience a lot for being really patient and instructive and doing a lot of genuine emotional work that they did not need to do, but we benefited from dramatically. And these days, we are pretty hyper vigilant all the time, not
Yes.
to be careful with how we speak, because we know how it can affect people. In my experience these days, the only time where people and this isn't just true for our show, I think it's true for the world, the only time people get like really upset is when you don't address it, or when you try to sweep it under the rug, when you are anything less than honest with the people watching the show, because they know what you said, and not acknowledging that, and trying to gaslight them into just letting it go. That's where the wheels fall off the wagon. Owning it and saying like, hey, sorry, I should not have said that. I will thank you for pointing that out. I'll try and do better. Like, is I don't know. It addresses the thing that is true in the room that everyone knows about, and disarming that kind of like tension is incredibly valuable.
Yeah, what I would do first is evaluate whether it's a good faith criticism, because there's a lot of people who will criticize anything and everything just because, and what you said may not have been, it may have had inklings of issues. You may not have fully stepped in it, and if they're being a bad faith actor, they will completely exaggerate it, and I ignore bad faith actors.
That's
I
what I was-
just completely do. But
That
if
was
they're
more
being
my
a good
question,
faith
yeah.
actor, I try to address the core issue, because a lot of times they're looking at a surface issue and not the core issue. And so I try to evaluate it and try to see where they're coming from, and try to find empathy with them, and see if there is a change that I need to make. And if there is, then I'll address it. If not, I might just double down, because there's a lot of people that are just jerks and their opinions don't matter to me.
Joe
Mr.
said
Channing?
empathy, and I think the empathy. Oh, I'm so sorry. I
Oh,
just
it's okay.
the empathy I just wanted to hit on is so important, just because I feel like until you find that, it's going to keep happening over and over and over again, because your heart hasn't changed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like until you can really understand what the thing is, I don't think you can fix it. Yeah. Sorry, Channing. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
no, you're fine. No, yeah, have some empathy. Once you get an understanding for it, there's one of those weird leadership books. I don't know if it's 48 Laws of Power or The Art of the Deal, some weird wacky book written by a wacko.
What? Don't.
But it says something. But no, it literally, there's one, and it says something like, "Don't apologize because it shows weakness." That is terrible advice. If you
Yes.
if you have legitimately offended someone, you maybe accidentally used a slur or hate speech or dead name, you need to recognize and apologize for that. Now, if you just had a legitimate opinion about something and
Yeah.
then freaked out, maybe you're not a Taylor Swift fan. That's fine. If the Swifties come into your chat, that's an entirely different thing. Don't feel like you need to apologize to them. But if you say all Swifties are and insert slur of your choice at the end, yeah, you need to
Yeah,
work
yeah,
on that. By the way, I love all the Swifties. Just saying.
Thank you, Channing.
I'm not a Swiftie, but
I still love him.
live and let live.
Yes. Don't yuck
Thank you.
somebody's yum.
True.
Let's just keep that.
Hi. So my question is kind of on the other side of consistency.
Ooh.
Like, how do you motivate yourself to work on a thing that started out as like this new, fresh thing that's now a year in, and it relies on kind of you sticking to the same script. If that makes sense.
Yeah, consistency is so important because the algorithms in social media rely on it. And what happens when you're tired and you need to take a break? How do you manage that really?
So for me, creating comes from a place of passion. And if I'm having to motivate myself, that means the passion might not be there. And so sometimes that could be because of burnout and you need to just take a break. And sometimes taking a break will help you be more consistent in the future. But you could just be honest with your audience. Look, I'm trying to find my passion again. I'm going to take a brief break. We're going to recalibrate and we'll come back.
Mr. Sherman, we're just going to go straight down the line. We're going to take one question after this because we got 5 minutes.
Yes, same thing. Thankfully, I work as part of a team, and my motivation is I don't want to let the rest of the team down.
Our team is our family. So like it is that, and that has been sort of the case from the beginning. But it is a thing you practice, like consistency and being able to do it when you don't want to. That goes back to the question of how you align your persona with your real life thing. Is like if I've had a day where my 4-year-old woke up at 3 a.m. last night and I haven't slept. Like, one, I'm honest about that because people will notice, like, hey, what's wrong with Griffin? And so, like, owning that is important. But yeah, I mean, and also being accountable, having people who you can be accountable to helps a lot too.
So we actually had a question from the live stream that's connected to this. We're still going to take yours, I promise.
Okay.
So don't worry. But they were asking about what do you have when your content has different types of things? Like you might do woodworking, you might do gaming. How do you do that? And my answer is going to be that what ties that all together is your brand. So like I'm a Swiftie, but I'm also many other things, and everybody knows Tyra is all of those things. So that's how I bring that in. Do any of you have a quick comment on how do you approach something when your content really varies?
So I do a variety show, but we have a structure to our variety show. So we have different segments that we break it up into, and that provides some consistency to the inconsistency, if that makes sense. So your format can be how you provide that consistency, but you do need to find something that is consistent because it resonates more with your audience.
I think knowing how to sort of silo that stuff off is important too. It's something, honestly, we kind of are trying to figure out ourselves because the McElroy Family Clubhouse is so variety show and we do a lot of different stuff. We alternate between like desk shows, we call them, where we do our segments, and then like a gaming streaming show, and trying to sort of tell people, coordinate that schedule and communicate that schedule is like the most important thing.
Yeah, schedule is so important. Yeah. So we're going to take your question, and so get ready. We're going to do rapid fire answer for this next person.
Great.
My question is kind of involving, you mentioned chat earlier.
Oh, yes.
How do you vibe when chat's not responding? When it's just like, how do you overcome that maybe chat's not as active as you're used to and kind of being able to persist through that?
Okay, who wants to go? Want to start at the end and come this way?
I would say that remember that you are the show. So the chat is a nice thing to build off of. I think that thought starters are really good to have on hand. I have like conversational topics that I use in my day-to-day life that I think are interesting, and there are things that people cannot help but weigh in on. You know what I mean? I like to ask people if they were in a food eating competition, which one could they do the best at?
Yeah.
People have very deliberate opinions about that. Mine's Fazoli's breadsticks. Thank you for asking.
Or asking for advice. Genuinely, that is always a huge like, hey, what I just re-up my Crunchyroll subscription. What anime should I check out? I just saw 15 different heads in the room. Just go, allow me. Stuff like that is very important. I also think it is more of a non-issue when you are doing a stream with other people, when it's just you and you are talking to the chat. I've done streams like that as well, and it can get kind of exhausting when you don't really have anything to feed off of. But when you have other people there, it's easier to kind of not look at it.
Just to jump on in, do you think when Marvel released Avengers Endgame, they wanted people chatting while all those big reveals and all were happening? No, they wanted them watching and focused on the show. So yeah, they're focused on you. Don't be afraid to have some icebreakers to motivate them, but just thinking, oh, they're just really enjoying what I'm saying, and go with that.
Yeah, and it depends on the style of your content. But if comments are critical to the flow of your show, you could try to find some way to solicit comments ahead of time. So, for instance, my own show, we have a question of the week that we announce several weeks ahead of time so that people can leave voicemails, speak pipes for us, so that we can address that on the show and we can feed off of some of their comments. So, being able to solicit comments ahead of time, if your content allows for that, is an avenue you could explore.
So I teach synchronous online. So I have a chat with my students, and if you want to talk about crickets, that's cricket. So I call it my non-Twitch Twitch stream is what I call my class instead. And I do what you do. I always have questions. So if you have things that people might have something to engage with or say or comment on or have their feelings about, I think that's the best way if you really want chat. So
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
so we're taking it on out of here. It's 2:00, but I want to start at the end with, I've lost my names, Justin, because I can't remember my own. Justin, tell them where to find all of you guys' stuff, what you're doing, and everybody gets a short moment to say what's the one piece of advice you would give to somebody who's starting live streaming as we take it out of here.
My McElroy.family is our URL. Everything is there. My piece of advice is if you're just starting live streaming, it shouldn't be good because you just started.
Yeah, we do the same stuff. So McElroy.family is all of our stuff. And I'm going to say again, stretch. Just get a good stretch in. God almighty, it really, really genuinely helps a lot.
And shower before every stream.
Sure.
I am Channing Sherman on most social media platforms, so you can find me there. I'm also doing about 5 more panels here at DragonCon, so search for me in the app. My advice would be to just sit down, shut up, and do it. Don't listen to the fear and the doubt in the back of your head. If you want to start streaming, start streaming.
My name is Joseph Ard. I do a podcast called Wise and Nerdy, where fatherhood meets fandom. And my advice is realize that it's going to take you 5, 10 sessions, episodes, streams, whatever, to hit your stride, and don't be afraid to keep evolving.
My name is Tara Burton. You can find me at taraburton.com and at KSU, teaching classes on digital media. And my piece of advice is be kind, but mostly be kind to yourself. And you are bejeweled. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks,
No,
everybody.
Afternoon. Oh my gosh. It's DragonCon.
It's morning somewhere.
If I can get a picture of all of us. As would you